Beyond the Gate spoilers. Hayley and Leslie plot revenge. The Dupree empire on the brink. The sun dipped low over the sprawling Dupree estate, painting the sky with streaks of gold and blood red. Inside those tall wrought iron gates, the air was heavy with secrets, the kind that could destroy dynasties. For decades, the Dupree name had commanded power in the small but formidable town of Ridgeview, but beneath the veneer of wealth and charm lay deceit, betrayal, and a family on the edge of implosion. And Hayley Torres had just discovered the match that could burn it all down. She stood by the window of her small apartment, her fingers trembling as she scrolled through the encrypted files she'd received that morning. Names, bank accounts, transactions. The Duprees had been funneling money through charitable foundations for years, charities that didn't exist. Her late father had tried to expose it before his sudden accident on the cliffs 2 summers ago. Now she knew. It wasn't an accident. Hayley's reflection stared back at her, eyes glinting with a mixture of fear and vengeance. She had vowed she wouldn't let her father's death go unanswered. But to take down the Duprees, she needed someone who understood the enemy, someone who had lived inside their mansion, who had seen their cruelty firsthand. That's when she thought of Leslie Grant. Leslie had once been married to the eldest Dupree son, Grant Dupree, the golden boy who charmed the town but ruled his family like a tyrant. Their marriage had ended in public scandal after Leslie accused Grant of manipulation and abuse, only for the Duprees to smear her name in every newspaper from Ridgeview to New York. Leslie had lost everything, but not her resolve. When Hayley appeared at her door that evening, Leslie's first instinct was suspicion. She was tired of people who pretended to care, only to use her pain as gossip. But when Hayley placed the USB drive on her kitchen table and whispered, "I have proof," Leslie's icy composure cracked. "Proof of what?" Leslie asked, her tone sharp yet curious. "Everything," Hayley replied. "Your ex-husband, his family, their fake charities, the offshore accounts, the cover-ups. Even your brother-in-law's involvement in my father's death." Leslie's hand froze around her cup. Her eyes darted up, and for a moment, the two women simply stared at each other. Two broken lives intersecting through one ruthless family. "You think you can bring them down?" Leslie finally said, her voice laced with skepticism. "I don't think," Hayley said quietly. "I know, but I need your help to do it." By the next morning, their alliance had begun. They met in secret, an abandoned chapel just outside town, its stained glass shattered and the pews covered in dust. There, they plotted each step with meticulous precision. Hayley brought the data, the evidence. Leslie brought insider knowledge, dates, habits, weaknesses. Their first move was to expose the Dupree's fraudulent charity, the Ridgeview Children's Fund. Hayley's tech-savvy friend managed to leak documents to a financial reporter who'd been sniffing around for months. The headline hit within days. "The Dupree Empire Under Fire. Millions Missing from Charity Accounts." It was the first crack in the marble facade. At the family estate, chaos erupted. Grant Dupree smashed a crystal decanter against the wall as his mother, Eleanor Dupree, frantically called their attorney. Their youngest daughter, Serena, wept silently in the corner. She had always been the innocent one, the one who didn't know what kind of empire she'd inherited. "Find who did this," Eleanor hissed, "and make them disappear." But as the Duprees scrambled, Hayley and Leslie watched from afar, every move anticipated. Their plan was working, yet both women knew that this was only the beginning. Days later, Leslie received an invitation she didn't expect, the Dupree's annual Harvest Gala. It was audacious, almost taunting. The Duprees wanted to show the world they were still untouchable. But Leslie saw it as an opportunity, a chance to strike from within. She arrived at the gala in a deep emerald gown, her chin held high despite the murmurs that followed her every step. The Duprees hadn't expected her to show up. And when she locked eyes with Grant across the ballroom, the tension was electric, hatred wrapped in history. "Leslie," Grant said, his tone dripping with false charm as he approached. "How brave of you to crawl back here." "Not brave," she said with a cold smile. "Just curious to see how far you'll fall." Before he could respond, Hayley appeared, disguised as part of the catering staff. From her tray, she discreetly slipped Leslie a folded note. It's time. Together, they set their trap. Hayley's plan was genius in its simplicity. During the gala's live-streamed charity auction, she hacked into the Dupree Foundation's database, projecting every stolen transaction onto the massive ballroom screens. Names, dates, and dollar amounts flashed before the horrified guests. The crowd gasped. The music stopped. And for the first time in Ridgeview's history, the Dupree's sins were laid bare before the world. Grant lunged toward Leslie, fury in his eyes. You did this. Leslie didn't flinch. No, Grant, she said softly. You did this to yourself. Security swarmed the room. Reporters, who had been invited for positive coverage, began broadcasting the chaos live. Eleanor fainted. Serena screamed. And as police sirens echoed in the distance, Hayley and Leslie slipped out into the night, two women united by revenge, finally free. The next morning, the Dupree mansion was a crime scene. Federal agents combed through rooms filled with evidence, documents, computers, and safes that told the story of greed spanning generations. Hayley and Leslie sat on a park bench overlooking Ridgeview, the cool morning air filled with the scent of rain. For the first time, there was peace. You really did it, Leslie murmured, a small smile forming. You brought them down. We did, Hayley corrected. Together. Leslie turned to her, her voice softer now. You know they'll come for us. The ones who aren't in jail. The ones still loyal. I'm counting on it, Hayley said, her eyes sharp but calm. Because now, they'll learn what it feels like to be hunted. The wind carried her words through the trees, a quiet promise that the fight wasn't over. The Dupree empire might have fallen, but its shadows still lingered, and Hayley and Leslie weren't done chasing the truth. For the first time in years, both women felt powerful, not because they had money, but because they had reclaimed their voices. As the church bells of Ridgeview rang in the distance, Leslie whispered with a hint of pride, Beyond the gates, there's no turning back. And Hayley smiled. Exactly where we belong.